viewers, I welcome you all to the 8th lecture for the course on International Investment Law and the Environment. In this lecture, we will be looking at International Minimum Standard of Treatment and how diplomatic protection can be conferred by the home state and demand international minimum of standard of treatment from the host state. That's the focus of this particular lecture. In my opinion, I would say this is more legitimate way of giving protection to the foreign investment compared to the other methods that we'd seen in the previous videos. So this minimum standard of treatment actually comes from the state responsibility for aliens. So as per this theory, the state's responsibility for injury to aliens, we could see that the home state can espouse the cause of its national for any injury that has been committed by the actions of the host state, and home state can confer diplomatic protection on nationals and espouse a cause of its national before an international forum. So that sort of whether can a home state do this got clarified through different judgments of PCIJ, Permanent Court of International Justice itself. For instance, look at the Mavromatis Palestine concession case. So here also PCIJ has clearly clarified that the home state can confer diplomatic protection. If you look at this particular case, PCIJ has stated that this is actually an elementary principle of international law, and that a state is entitled to protect its subject when some sort of an injury happens to its subject which is contrary to international law committed by another state and from whom they have been unable to obtain satisfaction through ordinary channels. So, when the home state takes up the case of its subjects and if it resorts to diplomatic action or international judicial proceeding on his behalf, then actually as per PCIJ, a state is only asserting its own rights. What right? Its right to ensure in the person of its subject respect for the rules of international law. So, PCIJ has clearly stated that by conferring diplomatic protection also, the home state is asserting one of its own rights only. Similarly, the PCIJ in another case also has held that this right of diplomatic protection is necessarily limited to intervention on behalf of its own nationals, because in the absence of a special agreement, the bond of nationality between the state and the individual which alone confers upon it the right of diplomatic protection, and it is a part of the function of diplomatic protection that the right to take up a claim and to ensure respect for the rules of international law must be envisaged. So what we see here is, with the series of decision, PCIJ has stated that there can be diplomatic protection can be conferred. Right, with that, conferring diplomatic protection on the nationals by a country started taking roots in international law, and with that the state started demanding minimum standard of protection for aliens. So as per the state's responsibility for injury to aliens, initially that was only limited to the physical protection of the aliens, but gradually the same principle got extended to also apply on the aliens' properties as well. So now the state's responsibility for protecting aliens does not limit only to the life and health of the aliens, but also to the properties owned by aliens as well. And this extension to include aliens' property actually got cemented with the reciprocal treaty signed by European countries, where aliens' properties were also included. So in that context, the state responsible for injury to aliens now got extended to injury to aliens' property as well. And with this practice of conferring diplomatic protection, now one method of protecting foreign investment is, if any adverse action is taken by the host state, then the home state can confer diplomatic protection on the investor for the adverse action taken by the host state, and can espouse the cause in any international forum. So that is how it has developed. So now if we see whether the home state will always take an action will it always espouse the cause of the foreign investor, that's a questionable one, because the home state may have its own political and economic relationship with the host state. So the home state espousing the cause of its national for the actions of the host state is dependent on their relationship as well. So it may espouse the cause of the national, or it may not espouse the cause of its own national, even for any adverse action taken by the host state. So we see that this is conferring diplomatic protection is a dicey one. It is highly dependent on the discretion of the home state as well. But when we look at the past practices where the home state has gone to any extent, from gunboat diplomacy to waging a war, to extraterritorial application of laws, to annexing territories, it had taken various strategies to afford protection to foreign investors. At that point of time, it did not bother, the home state did not bother with regard to the socio-economic development of the host state, what will be the negative consequences if it has demanded huge compensation from the host state. It didn't even bother with regard to the actions of its own foreign investors. For instance, take United States and Paraguay Navigation Company case. Edward Hopkins left Paraguay, went to US. In the United States, he told the president that he was expelled from Paraguay. Then US Congress approved sending naval ships. Naval ship reaches Argentine border. Then Paraguay agrees to send the matter to International Commission. In the International Commission, before the International Commission, Edward Hopkins was not able to submit any proof with regard to the claim he had made. So, International Commission has actually stated that the Paraguay's actions were not unlawful, because Paraguay's actions were taken as per the law, because the company had violated the certain licensing conditions, and the company's operations were not seized by Paraguay. The company could still run its operation, and the fact that Edward Hopkins was not even expelled from Paraguay. He went and portrayed that he was expelled from Paraguay, but he could not submit any evidence. So, International Commission has stated that he was actually not expelled from Paraguay itself. So, what we see here is the actions of the investor was not considered by the home state while taking a decision whether it will espouse a cause of that investor or not. So, in the context of conferring diplomatic protection, which is a more legitimate way of espousing the cause, I feel that there shouldn't be much of an inhibition from the side of home state to espouse a cause if it is genuine, and if the investor has legitimately been affected by an adverse and arbitrary action of the host state. But again, at the end of the day, it is conferring diplomatic protection is still the discretion of the home state. So, with that, the minimum standard of protection and conferring diplomatic protection, demanding minimum standard of the treatment, we do see that there were again some difference of opinions between capital exporting countries and capital importing countries. If I may take you back to our discussion with regard to the Venezuela case, there Venezuela's contention was it will give the same treatment that it gives to its nationals to the foreign investors as well, right? So, in that context, if we look at this conferring diplomatic protection and then demanding minimum standard of treatment, the capital importing countries started questioning what is this minimum standard of treatment? Why do you expect a higher treatment than that of our nationals? So, host state treats its nationals in a particular way. So, it may extend the same treatment to the foreign investors as well. So, why is the capital exporting countries demanding a higher treatment for its own nationals? So, that contest was there. So, from the next week onwards, we will look at, in the third week of the course, we will look at the challenges that were made, or the challenges to the protection to foreign investment that came from the capital importing countries. We will discuss that in detail. These challenges are also very important, because until now, in the last video I mentioned, from the 17th to 19th century, only the cementing or spelling out of the protection standards had come up. So, now we will start discussing about the challenges to the investment protection standards that have been taken up in next lecture in the next week. Thank you.